we can go ahead and start this off with the quote of the week, man. And everybody who's here, I appreciate y'all for tuning in live. As always, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, you know what I'm saying, get at a chance. You know what I'm saying, subscribe. YouTube is also available as well for clips and stuff like that. And full episodes of the playback if you missed anything live. The quote of the week is actually from Doc Walker via what was it, the Kevin Sheehan show on Friday afternoon. Dakota, there's no way. So I'm gonna pose this and I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'm gonna kick Dakota out. So Doc Walker stated on Friday that he actually agreed with this argument that Kevin Sheehan has been making for a couple of days following the absence of Chase Young at OTAs, voluntary OTAs, by the way. And the thing with Chase Young, and the reason why it was a big deal, right, was because of the leadership aspect in which people thought, you know, that he brought to the table for this team and for this defense. Quotes are as follows for Doc Walker regarding Chase Young. Number one was he does things. I'm sorry, that is actually Ron Rivera's quote. So this is where Ron Rivera stated it, and what's to follow is what Doc Walker stated. So Rivera said of Chase Young that he does things, you know, the way you're supposed to, and he does things the way a leader does. Those things go unstated. You know what I'm saying? We all know this. This is something, I mean, clearly blanket, but also something that he feels, you know, that actually embodies Chase Young. But Doc Walker, in terms of Kevin Sheehan's comments and arguments that he was posting on his Kevin Sheehan podcast and his radio show, he texted, "A captain never needs to be told how and when to lead." That was the first text. And the second text that he sent was, "A true leader never puts themselves in a position to be questioned." This is all in reference, again, to Chase Young missing the voluntary OTAs. So, Dre, my first question, or the question to you, Dakota, you're about to get kicked out, is that a fair statement to make given the comments that Rivera made? So where are you at with Doc Walker and the mix between Rivera and Doc Walker, excuse me, statements?
Well, yeah, with Doc and Kevin Sheehan both, they come from the old school in a sense, you know, where they look for certain guys to be a certain way, especially if you're a star on the team. They're looking at you as, oh, you have to lead by doing this, that, and the third. And it starts here in OTAs. Now, I agree to an extent that you would like to see Chase out there because he was a captain last year in his rookie year. And he's a guy who showed a lot of leadership skills. And sure, you would like to see him there. But again, I don't know why Chase Young wasn't there. I haven't seen any reasons. You know, it could have been something that he discussed with Ron, you know, months ago in a sense, and said, hey, you know, I'm doing this week and I'll be back, you know, for the next OTAs. And that's fine. If you communicating with your coach, that's all good. But I don't think it's a situation where his teammates are going to sit there and be holding this against him. You know, oh, Chase wasn't here for OTAs the first week. When you get to training camp and even your mandatory mini camp that's coming up, the training camp preseason, no one's going to be sitting there talking about, oh, man, I wish Chase was here for that first week of OTAs like everybody else. Because Chase is going to bring that energy, that same energy you saw Chase bring last year on the sidelines and throughout this. Whenever he's in the building, that's what he's bringing. And this is funny because I always go back to when you hear stories like this, I always go back to Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor would never show up to these things. Like if you caught Sean Taylor at OTAs, you were shocked. I mean, that was a big deal. I mean, because it was very rare. But Sean wouldn't even return Joe Gibbs' phone calls. Like, I remember that being a big deal. Like, he wouldn't even return Joe Gibbs' phone calls. He wasn't in communication. But when Sean Taylor got on the field, practice field, whatever, he led by example. He led by what I do on this field. I'm bringing this passion. Because a lot of people don't like to practice, especially, you know, veterans, even your best players, none of them like to practice. But Sean Taylor loved practicing. So that's the way he would show his leadership. And no one remembered those days he wasn't there when he was up there leading by on practice. And that's going to be the same thing with Chase. When Chase gets in the building, Chase is an alpha male. He's going to automatically come right back in the building, and it's going to be like nothing changed. No one's going to remember that week that he took off. So I think, in reference to Doc's quote in his comments, it means something to an extent, but every situation has context. And I think in this situation, it's a little different, and no one's going to hold it against Chase for him missing out on this week or two of OTAs. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Dre, I agree with Doc, but I do want to emphasize the fact that we don't know why Chase Young missed out. Like, shoot, even for that manner, right? Montez Sweat, he missed out last week, and I saw a picture before I started again today. I saw a picture of him attending OTAs. So he was back this week. The thing with Chase Young, also, we have to take into account, we don't know why. However, the bottom line is, and if his teammates know why he's gone, it doesn't matter. That's number one. If his coaches know why he's gone, it doesn't matter. That's number two. We don't need to know anything if they know. We don't need to know anything if they know. But on the assumption, which is also dangerous, and I acknowledge that. On the assumption that Chase Young is not there because he wants to do his own thing, that is very dangerous, because in Doc Walker's background or his where he comes from and his understanding of leadership, he poses, like, it's hard to really disagree with what he's saying. And I think one of the things that this became I shouldn't say a big thing. I should say it was very talked about in the local area, is because of who Chase Young is. Chase Young is that number one, or that top star, future star athlete for the Washington football team. And the thought or the possibility of something, when it's talked about leadership, the thought and possibility of something being swept under the rug when it comes to your looked at leader, like that, I can see why people are trying to ask these questions. But I think in the grand scheme of things, right, when it comes to Chase Young, you don't ever want to put yourself in a position to be questioned. And that's where it becomes dangerous. But what I will say, in a different twist or a different angle of this thing, right? I said this on the Hard Style when I did the podcast with them on Saturday. And I'm not blaming the media, but the media has to be really careful when they do shit like this. Because the media will unintentionally or inadvertently, whatever the right word is, I'm ignorant, I don't know, forgive me, but they will inadvertently trigger these star athletes for no reason, bruh. And all of a sudden you wonder why somebody don't fuck with you, when you simply just wanted to pose a question. I had to ask it. And you know what I'm saying? I felt it was relevant at the time. Well, think about a few months down the line when Chase Young already heard this in the moment. And he's like, all right, y'all trying to stir some shit up. I can't fuck with y'all the way I used to, or the way I gave y'all that opportunity, because if I do something that's not in the light that you agree with, you know what I'm saying, you're going to try and paint a picture about me that's really not accurate. Now, I'm not blaming Kevin Sheehan for posing the question. I'm trying to bring awareness to the fact that Kevin Sheehan has this stage and this amount of notoriety when he's on the microphone that people are listening to him. People are trying to understand what he's saying, and he's persuasive. People will believe some shit that he's saying because it makes sense. And I'm not saying that he's wrong to ask the question. I'm saying be careful, because it could be too early for you to ask some shit like that. And all of a sudden, people will start picking it up. People start believing in it, and it becomes some big thing. One of the things that we've seen in the past, Dre, has been the situation with Deshaun Jackson, bro. I don't remember what it all started with Deshaun Jackson. Maybe you can help me out with that. But Deshaun Jackson did not fuck with the media here. He did not fuck with him, and it was all these stupid ass
Yes.
stories and assumptions about Deshaun Jackson.
That's funny you mentioned it.
Yeah, go ahead. It's all these stupid stories that just led to him just not fucking with people in general, bro.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like you said, with Deshaun Jackson, I remember his beef with the media literally started with OTAs, and the amount of attention that it got that he wasn't at OTAs, which and when he that was his first year here, and I remember that situation because Deshaun said that he had a vac. This is what I think the media was really digging into too, as well, is that Deshaun was actually on vacation that first week of OTAs. So, that's going to be made a big deal. Oh, you can go on vacation, but he can't show up with his teammates. This is the type of teammate you're getting with Deshaun. So we kind of got that narrative, which is, of course, Deshaun sees that, and that shit just pissed him off. He was done after that. But Deshaun now, and I understood because Deshaun said he had this vacation plan well before he signed with the Redskins at the time. Deshaun wasn't a Redskin when he had made this vacation, and I don't think, and at this point in time, I don't believe every team was on the same OTA schedule like I believe it is now. So he had this vacation lined up before because he got cut abruptly by the Eagles, and Redskins signed him in like a day or two after he got cut. So I understand he was in communication with his coach, and that's a situation where I say the coach and I'm sure it's probably his teammates, maybe some of his new teammates knew that he had other obligations, but he communicated that to them. He just did not show up because it was a voluntary work session, and like I said, I completely get what Dr. Walker is saying, that it matters to an extent because, especially in a situation right now, you're trying to show a different culture here. That's what Ron Rivera is building right now. He's trying to show you that this is not the same Redskins you all were used to for years. Like there's something different going on. And for that to happen, everyone has to buy in. But again, I don't look at Chase Young as one of those guys that's going to be a problem going forward, because if you hear everyone talk about him, his coaches, his teammates, everyone loves Chase. Like everyone talks about Chase in a highlight. That means he's doing something else behind the scenes that they see, this leadership. So that's why in this situation, this doesn't concern me too much that he's missing the first week or so of OTAs, because like I said, I don't think this is going to be something that teammates are going to hold against him, even his coaches. I think Ron still holds him in high regard, and I think he'll be a captain again this year. So, yeah.
I 100% agree. I think it's a non-issue. I think it's also going to be hilarious if he pops up this week and all of that shit that they were saying last week doesn't even matter. And even the stuff that we're discussing right now doesn't even matter because he showed up this week. So it's kind of funny to see how things unfold, right? And I think we can just close on this. And obviously, if you have something to say, you can follow up. But I think the one thing that I would say with this, because it's early on and it's important, I think just the media in general, again, y'all are doing y'all job, but just have some awareness and be careful, because when you start something a little too early, when it's not warranted, just because you want to be first and be like, I told you so, down the line, that can get you in trouble. And I think this isn't that, but this can grow into that. So that's my main thing, is how dangerous this can be, trying to drum up conversation, but also you can possibly fracture something down the line as well.